Lydden circuit, a third away day of the year. Pole position, race 1 winner Andy Baker with Chris Whiteman alongside. Then it's Luke Bennett and Andy Woods-Dean, Jason Watkins and Terry Sells on row 3. Fourth row of the grid, Danny Cassar and Gary Chappell. Then it's Ian Butler and Curtis Mitchell on row 5. Row 6, Steve Cassar and Andrew Mitchell. Steve Brooker and Bernie Baxter next on the grid. Then it's Ricky Davies and John Wilde, Dominic Ryan and David Charlton in the VW Beetle. Completing the grid in 19th position is the Peugeot 205 of Robert Sadler, followed by Anthony Harrison, Brett Lidsey and Neil Gardiner, the retirees from race 1, assuming they've got things back together. But it's Andy Baker who had an absolute rocket ship start to race number 1, coming through the field from 6 on the grid into the lead as they cross the line to complete lap 1. He hasn't got as much hard work to do in this one. We'll see how well he fares as the cars come down the Canterbury straight and into Pilgrims for the first time. And again, what a very, very impressive field. Chris Whiteman trying to hang on in the outside there. Andy Woods-Dean in third position gets ahead of Luke Bennett, so he's made a good bit of progress. We just saw Scott Brooker going through in the Mini Cooper S, the leading man in Class 2, and out of Devil's Elbow for the first time. Andy Baker leads again. He was coming under pressure from Chris Whiteman in the first race, but that's not going to be the script here, because up into second place has gone Andy Woods-Dean. Whiteman's fighting over third position at the moment with Luke Bennett, who's got on his inside line Jason Watkins, second in Class 4 at the moment, Jason Watkins. But look at the extra power of the Honda Integra, which sweeps around the outside. This is the scrap for third place at the moment. Andy Baker gets away then in that lead position, and Andy looking to double up. This is his first race of the year in the Cannons Motorspares Tin Top Challenge, and a fair bit of work to do. He's the 30th driver to register for the championship this year, so absolutely no problem with numbers. In terms of the background of the championship, as I mentioned, predominantly racing at Brands Hatch. First 2 meetings of the year were Brands Hatch, then we moved to Mallory Park, and then Snetterton, back to Brands Hatch for the last 2 rounds, and of course here at Lydden Hill for races 11 and 12 in the championship. So plenty of variety, not too much travelling involved, and also not an overly stretched calendar, so it gives everybody a fair chance to do a little bit of racing from time to time throughout the year without committing to going racing every other weekend and having to travel absolutely huge distances. A little bit of a lock-up there from Chris Whiteman in the 55 car. As you can see, he's got the yellow square with a black cross on the back, indicating that he is a newcomer to circuit racing. I'm pretty sure I remember him racing Eurocar a few years ago, or he might have been able to have done that on an oval licence. So Chris, having only done having had a bit of a break actually after the first first two races at Brands Hatch, had 2 retirements and a non-start, and rejoined the championship last time out at Brands Hatch, where he started to pick up some points. So he'll be very happy with his performance in this meeting so far. There's Terry Sells, who started on pole position, a brilliant qualifying session for Terry at 52.528. It was a wee bit damp in qualifying, and consequently the change of conditions has given us a pretty jumbled up grid, or jumbled up positions in terms of the race. As we look at what is now the battle for second position, it's still Andy Baker out front, Andy Woods-Dean in second position, and we're looking at Class 4 car leading the brace of Class 3s. So the battle for second position is the battle for the lead in Class 3. Class 3 is, in terms of championship, led by the overall championship leader Danny Cassar. He's down in 6th position at the moment in the MGZR, and shame we haven't seen a great deal of Danny, but leads the championship overall and leads Class 3 from Andy Woods-Dean. As I mentioned, Chris Whiteman had a couple of DNFs and some no-shows, so this is really indicative of what could have been the championship story if Chris had a little bit more luck with machinery earlier on in the season. So the top 4 all through Devil's Elbow safe and well, with Andy Baker looking pretty good at the moment, and Andy Woods-Dean could probably do without Chris Whiteman behind him, because he's closing in on that Peugeot 205, and well, it looks like a challenge for the lead. Great to see the different lines. The front wheel drive Peugeot just taking a slightly wider line, a much shorter wheelbase of course on the Peugeot, and he looks fairly comfortably in front at the moment. Woodstein still in second position. Chris Whiteman in third, challenges to go through, but a mistake there by Andy Woodstein, a rare mistake by Andy, I've got to say, and Chris Whiteman pounces, goes through, and that just goes to show you the level of concentration you need right the way around this mile-long circuit. Well, he hasn't lost too much time, but it was just enough to leave the door open, and Chris Whiteman goes through into second position ahead of Andy Woodstein. Now, Woodstein, crucially, is still ahead of the championship class leader Danny Cassar, who's running third in class at the moment. This race is a problem for the Peugeot. It's a problem for Andy Baker. Now, is that a long-term mechanical problem? He seems to pick up the pace as they go back into Druids, but Chris Whiteman leads now from Andy Woodstein. Down in third place is Andy Baker, and let's keep a very, very close eye on the Peugeot to see if that is a major problem, or whether it was a missed gear maybe coming out of Druids, coming out of Devil's Elbow. He's still there in third position. Now, was that a mistake or was it a mechanical failure? I don't know. We saw the mistake from Woodstein on the last lap. Had he not made that, he would have been in lead position. As it is, he's got a lot of work to do. He does seem to have some pace, Woodstein. Lap times for the pair of them. Let's have a quick look. Chris Whiteman with a 47.941 on lap 2. Andy Woodstein 48.421 on lap 4. So you've got to say, although Woodstein looks pretty snappy at the moment, he hasn't set the benchmark, as it were, and it's Chris Whiteman, the fastest man on track. The fastest man in class 4 is Andy Baker in the Peugeot, unsurprisingly, and Scott Brooker fastest in class 2. As we go back and have a look at the little battle here, 95 car of Andrew Mitchell leading Bernie Baxter in the Fiesta and Steve Cassar in the Proton Coupe, all in the in class 3. I think that's for around about 6th position in class 3. As we go back to the race leaders, Andy Baker, let's watch him now as he comes out of the Devil's Elbow. Does he lose any momentum coming up the hill? Difficult to say. I'd say probably not. I wonder if that was just a missed gear earlier on, because he seems to be maintaining his pace at the moment. So Andy Baker with the race 1 win in his pocket. Down Hairy Hill, still 4th position is 5th position Jason Watkins. As we go back now and have a look at Curtis Mitchell and Gary Chappell having a bit of a scrap with Terry Searles in front of those. This is the battle for 7th position at the moment on track. So battles, as I say, going on pretty much all the way down the order. But we go back to Andy Woodstein. There he is in second position, centre of shot, left of shot is Chris Whiteman, the race leader, and still Andy Baxter in third place, who seems to be dropping back just a little bit. Luke Bennett in 4th place is still there in the Honda Integra, and then Jason Watkins in the Fiesta XR2. Jason still running second in class 4. Curtis Mitchell, incidentally, the black Peugeot that we're looking at there, is second in class 4 in the championship, not in the race, and pops a move on Terry Searles there, so goes through. Curtis Mitchell, who is going to be scoring some points over the class leader John Wilde in the Metro. Saw John at the tail end of the race, and John's still running in the Metro in this one, down behind Neil Gardiner, who's got ahead of him, the retiree from the first race. And championship leader John Wilde, T4 championship leader John Wilde, not having the best of races here at Lydden Hill. And Curtis Mitchell second in that class. He is the black Peugeot ahead of Terry Searles in the MG XR, pole position man, and just dropping away a little bit. There is Ian Butler going through, and a little look back. Scott Brooker in the Mini Cooper S having a look through on the inside to try and make up a position, but back with the race leaders who are starting to approach the back marker traffic. Chris Whiteman still in front, Andy Woodstein in second position, Andy Baker is still there in third, and these three, you get the impression that they've kind of found their niche on the circuit now, because the gap between the three of them is going out, isn't it? Now, whether that's going to change due to back marker traffic or not remains to be seen. So we'll see what happens as the cars start to work their way through the back marker traffic. This is like race 1, a 15-lap race scheduled. Let's hope that we don't get any red flags in this one, so that the guys get their full race distance. You can see the VW Beetle there of David Charlton leaders up amongst the back markers, and it's going to be Dominic Ryan in the silver Fiesta that's passed. Dominic currently running in 18th place. Blue flags being waved by the marshals at the slower drivers. They'll be aware that the front runners are coming through. Let's see what David Charlton does. Sticks to the outside of the circuit. John Wilde, the T4 championship leader, is going to be the next man to be passed. Oh, and he says tag there on Chris Whiteman. Wilde, I don't think saw the blue flag, certainly didn't see the championship leader coming through, sorry, the race leader coming through, and there was a little bit of a tag between the two cars. Now David Charlton is trying to go up the inside and make a position up, but he's being put under pressure there by Dominic Ryan, who gets back in front in the 27 car, but the back markers causing some interesting stuff happening here as they go on, and a lock-up for Andy Baker, who I think went into the back of one of the back markers. He did, evidence of the damage on the front of Baker's car. Now, is he going to get going, or is it going to be a retirement? Well, we saw him have that problem earlier on in the race. It looks like it's curtains for Andy Baker from third position in the race, and that leaves Chris Whiteman leading. Chris Whiteman the leader from Andy Woods-Dean. Luke Bennett in third place. Jason Watkins now leading Class 4, and he is in fourth position in the race. Danny Cassar goes up into fifth ahead of Curtis Mitchell, but Andy Woods-Dean in second position. Look at the gap now between the race leader and Woods-Dean. It's a pretty big gap at the moment. Neil Gardiner is going to be the next car that the race leader is set to lap. Through go the back markers again. You can see John Wilde in the Metro still ahead of Dominic Ryan and David Charlton, but it's Chris Whiteman in the 55 car. This is a good performance from Chris, his fifth race meeting of the season, and he's finally found a little bit of reliability to go with some good driving form this weekend as he comes up Hairy Hill into North Bend for the last time. Back marker looming is the Metro of Neil Gardiner. I'm not sure whether he's actually going to be able to manage to lap Neil in time, because the Metro does have, I think, sufficient pace to go through, but it's going to be Chris Whiteman that comes across the line to take the checkered flag. Whiteman's first win of the year, with Andy Woods-Dean taking second position. Luke Bennett will be in third place. Confirmation of that result: Chris Whiteman the winner and fastest lap, Andy Woods-Dean in second from Luke Bennett. Class 4 goes to Jason Watkins, Danny Cassar is fifth, and Curtis Mitchell in sixth position. Seventh place Terry Searles, then it's Gary Chappell. Class 1 runner Ian Butler ninth from Andrew Mitchell, then Bernie Baxter and Steve Cassar in 12th place. 13th was Class 2 winner Scott Brooker from Ricky Davis, then Neil Gardiner and John Wilde. Dominic Ryan and the Beetle of David Charlton. 19th position goes to Robert Sadler, one non-finisher of course, the out of luck Andy Baker. Danny Cassar leads the championship still after Lydden Hill with 300 points, and Ian Butler's in second position, the lone T1 runner. So third place in the championship, second in T3 is Andy Woods-Dean, then it's the Beetle of Dave Charlton in fourth, fifth is John Wilde, and in sixth position Terry Searles.
So Chris, good day for you, holding two trophies there. Tell us more.
Yeah, I like the circuit. We didn't know if it was going to rain or, well, we did rain, but sunshine with a lot of choices of tyres to do. But no, done well. Two trophies.
So you got a first and second? Yeah.
And the first in the group, yeah.
Excellent. So good day overall. Yeah,
good day. You know, very good day. Canning tin tops and all that. They're doing well. A bit of trouble beginning the season with the car, but seems to come together now. And glad, really glad.
So what about the rest of the year? You've got a few more races to go?
Yeah. I didn't think I'll ever be on the podium this year. I've just started, so it's my first year on circuit racing. So it can only get better, hopefully.
Well,
okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.